What happens when you abandon a garden? I used to like to watch that show on TV that was called Life After People. And they kind of looked at what happens when people disappear and how nature kind of takes over. So this garden was abandoned, I don't know, around Thanksgiving. Haven't been here to water, haven't been here to pull weeds, haven't been here to put frost cloth or plastic on anything when it got down to 19 degrees. No fertilizing. It's rained a couple times, but you can see weeds have definitely taken over in a lot of areas. But we'll just do a quick abandoned garden tour and see what's still here and what's not. And that'll kind of give you an idea of what plants are hardier and can sort of defend themselves and take care of themselves, and what plants die when they're abandoned. I can't remember what this weed is called, but you can see this weed has largely taken over this bed. The kale still seems to be doing okay. There's some bluer kale back here that's real pretty. Looks like the broccoli went to flower because there was no one here to pick it. This mustard's still doing fine. Lots of weeds over here. This dollar weed is coming back with a vengeance. There's some more of that same weed we just saw. The collards are hanging on. The leeks seem to be okay. Leeks tend to be fairly perennial, at least in my experience. There's some weeds that are competing, but doesn't look like there's a whole lot of negative effects on the collards and the leeks, at least. Let's go look in the backyard. The spearmint is clearly doing fine. In fact, the spearmint has largely taken over places where normally it would have been pulled. This over here is apple mint. You can see it's just running rampant. I even saw mint creeping into what was the sweet potato area last year. If I had been here to intervene as the gardener, all this mint would have been pulled, but because this garden was abandoned over 2 months ago now, you can see the mint is advancing quickly. There's a lot of mustard that's popping up from seed. Looks like some of these plants are in flower now, and some went to flower last year and dropped seeds. There's a lot of mustard seed just in the seed bed here. It looks like the comfrey is coming back. Most of the comfrey I thought I dug out of here and tried to transplant to the new location. Clearly I missed some. This is Italian dandelion, blue-flowered chicory. That seems to be doing fine without any intervention. These radishes I planted around Thanksgiving, they're way too big now. They look like gigantic daikons, even though they were supposed to be little purple plums. They're going to flower. I may let these go to seed and have some seed. I'm not really sure. They're massive. I think if I were going to try to eat these, I'd have to cook them now or pickle them or ferment them. There's a bunch of blackberries back there. Blackberries are essentially a weed, so I'm not going to really count that. But this cilantro was not here 2 months ago, which is interesting. This looks like seed that got spilled or something and just germinated. Daikons do fine without people. The daikon down there. Looks like there's some bok choy that popped up in this wheelbarrow and then went to seed. This is more of the mustard we were talking about. You can see the spearmint is just everywhere. I fully expect that within a year or so after abandoning this garden, it will be mostly spearmint and mustard. Looks like there's some sweet potatoes down here that are trying to do sweet potato stuff. It's kind of interesting. Maybe sweet potatoes are one that can kind of function without people being around. A lot of collards and mustard over here seem to be doing just fine. More random mustard weeds, more spearmint. The dino kale seems to be good. These collards here are looking nice. I don't think the collards are gonna survive forever on their own. The mustard probably will. The mustard's a lot more vigorous. It goes to seed prolifically, drops seed, all the seed germinates. Collards take a lot longer to go to seed, and I think with weed competition the way it is, you can see there's spearmint over here too. Yeah, more mustard in full flower. And again, it got down to 19 degrees here recently. None of this was covered. It was all just out in the open, and they're all fine. I know a lot of people start panicking and covering vegetables when it's under 30 degrees, and 19 was an extreme, unusual temperature event for us, but collards didn't even blink. This loquat tree will be completely fine without any human intervention. But weeds are getting bad. Look at this. This is just a carpet of nasty weeds. They won't be able to kill that loquat tree, but they will smother out the asparagus that was planted around the loquat. More weeds everywhere. The strawberries will likely be okay without me here. They won't probably produce well because of intense weed competition and wildlife. Wow, there's more cinder blocks over here I forgot about. I've been digging out cinder blocks all morning, which is quite the chore. But there's a mixture of cultivated and wild strawberry over here. You can see the difference. The wild strawberry, small leaves, cultivated, large leaves. The wild strawberry will likely win out at some point. Although I was really surprised to see cultivated strawberry marching itself all the way out here into the yard. The clover will be fine without people. There's a couple different types of clover over here. There's perennial red clover, which will be fine without me. The crimson clover is an annual. It's unlikely to really produce seed here in significant amounts, so that will probably start to fade out. Arugula rocket is one that I expect to be just fine without people. So life after people in this abandoned garden. There will probably be arugula rocket salad popping up for quite a few years. Daikons, they do fine without people. You can see the size of that one there. Probably need to pull this fairly soon. That's quite the winner. But the daikons will flower. I'm not sure if they'll make a whole lot of seed or not. And if they do, some of that seed may come up in the future, some may not. Remains to be seen. Dill, hit or miss. I mean, this is dill that I did not plant. This seems to be doing okay, but it is surrounded by weeds. You might see dill here or there. I don't expect to see a lot of it. Peas, they do fine without me around, but they're unlikely to self-sow and continue to be a presence here after I'm long gone. So yeah, it kind of looks like this garden will be dominated by mustard, wild strawberries, and weeds after I'm gone. There may be some garlic that hangs on for quite a few years, just in kind of a perennial manner. Lots of spearmint everywhere. This is some random cilantro that I didn't plant that seems to be pretty happy, actually. But yeah, I think that's about it. Some of the other herbs, like this is lemon balm here. That'll probably be fine without me here. That technically is a mint. This looks like parsnip popping up. That's probably just from leftover seed from a few years ago. This is mostly mustard, collards, daikons here. They're obviously growing just fine without me here to take care of them. But other than the mustard, probably the collards and the daikons will slowly start to fade away. There's some more arugula in the back there. Well, that concludes our abandoned swamp garden life after people tour. So that kind of gives you an idea of which plants are hardy enough to survive on their own without human intervention and which are not. So hope you learned something from this video. Thanks for tuning in. Try not to abandon your garden, but I know it happens sometimes.